So what I've done is I've actually changed the ratio of the pulleys. Originally the max speed was 3200 RPM on fast, just not fast enough for a small CNC machine, so I've replaced the motor pulley. Now it's 1:1 ratio at about 5400 RPM max, and man, it's so much better. The stock motor pulley was also just shockingly unbalanced. It wasn't the keyway wasn't cut straight in it, so it would wobble like mad. So I made my own pulley, and I haven't got the right broach here, so I just used a RS Fenner clone Trantorque bushing. Works really well. Super happy with it. Even when I leave the spindle lock in, it doesn't slip, so that's pretty damn good. Power of the motor. So this one's actually a 1 kilowatt DC brushless, and I cannot find any info on it. And right now I'm really umming and ahhing whether I want to keep it or not. So I've included a video of it cutting at the end of the video. So at full speed, it's not too bad, but I think it definitely it's the limiting factor here. The machine's rigid enough to take a bit more power, so probably we'll just upgrade to a VFD and either a 2.2 kilowatt spindle belt driving the machine spindle, or I'll just use a huge 3-phase with a vector VFD. Haven't quite decided yet. Right, so the problems I had with the spindle, basically because the output from the lead shine driver for the VFD or the spindle control is 0 to 5 volts, but because it's opto-isolated, you actually lose a bit of voltage, which means you can't drive it fully, which I think is a bit of a problem with this one. I'm sure I could get more power if I drive it to its full voltage. There's a pair of internal pots that I found, if you wind them up, actually increases the speed and torque dramatically. So obviously from factory they're very conservative, so I think I picked up another 1000, 1500 RPM just by doing that, and it hasn't really been a problem. Sure, the motor gets hot, but it's got no fan, so you got to expect that. But yeah, maybe I could fix that with an Arduino, but I think I'll just go with a VFD. The other problem we found is if the Linux CNC spindle, ramp up and ramp down command was too fast, it would actually cause the controller to error out. So we've implemented a ramp up and a ramp down, which is a bit of a pain, but it does work very well. Yeah, so as you see it, that's all kind of in a nice working state. So yeah, there we go. That's pretty much the machine itself. So let's just go over to the computer and I'll show you all the functions I've got working with it at the moment. Okay, so here we go. So it's pretty standard Linux CNC interface. The only addition is the spindle add speed command and the spindle speed. You can drive the spindle manually from here. There we go, commanded speed, spindle at speed, all good. Readout's pretty accurate, it's within about 100 RPM, not too bad at all. And the only other real thing to mention is the miscontrol. You can probably hear the solenoid going, haven't got the compressor. And I also forgot one last thing with the spindle. When I was building the machine, I also took the time to remove the entire quill assembly. So what it has, it's got a large aluminium spacer to acting as a shim, and it's got some hardened shims in there just to get the clearance dead on. To basically removes all movement from the quill. And what else? Ah yes, I added angular contact bearings to replace the tapered roller bearings. So they're from VXB. I can't remember the part number, but it's on Hoss Machine's website. And they're apparently good for up to 10,000 RPM grease. So they seem to be pretty happy, even with relatively tight preload up to like 5300. Yeah. I'm really happy with it, so I reckon you could definitely go up to at least 8,000, but the poor spindle is not too well balanced at the moment due to either the motor or the pulleys or whatever. So that's something to fix in the coming weeks and months, but otherwise, yeah, I highly recommend the Angular mod. So the only thing you have to do with the Angular contact swap is, because the bearing is actually quite a bit thinner, you have to get some shims to shim the bearings out. I'm pretty sure I actually got some hardened steel ones from Small Parts. Right, so that's the tour done pretty much now. So what do I want to do with it in the future? As it stands, I'm probably about 80% happy with it. It cuts really well. I've done a lot of work on it. Having the coolant and the spindle and the CNC control is just freaking awesome. Especially with the TTS tooling system and all the tool tables set up. I mean, when you do get all your cam side of things right, you pretty much just hit the go button and walk off, and it all I have to do is come back and change the tool and let it go. So I've done some pretty complicated parts like that spindle lock, absolutely no problems whatsoever. On the tooling side, yeah, definitely need more TTS holders and drill bits and end mills, and I really want to get the high metaster. That thing is just so awesome. So I might have to cough up on that at some stage. And what else? Yes, obviously you'll notice my exceptionally terrible temporary closure, including shower curtains. I've actually had all the parts, which you might be able to see next to my turbo bike project. All the polycarbonate and aluminium's been sitting there for about 2 months now. I just haven't had the time to pull it apart. So eventually it's going to have a proper splash tray with full coolant, sort of flood coolant ability. It's going to have 3 more polycarb on the sides, on the front with hinging doors, and the back's going to be 2mm aluminium. All the fogbuster stuff, all the coolant stuff will bolt to the back wall. It should be super neat. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to not having shavings just flying absolutely everywhere. So that'll be really nice. And finally, what else have I got to do? Alright, the spindle. So as I touched on before, the spindle's just, it's all a bit of a hack and a kludge. Sure, it works, but I'd like a bit more power. And if it does die one day, basically I've got to redo it all. Anyway, so I'm thinking I might just go with a 3-phase, big 2 horsepower 3-phase motor if I can find a suitable one with a vector controlling VFD, because all of the top side basically has to get redone anyway, because I want to add a power drawbar. So I'm not going to use the pneumatic one, because I always hear, they're a little bit touch and go, tool pull out and whatnot. So I think I'm going to make my own, basically using a impact wrench. I tested it and it gives out about 30 Newton meters, which is apparently perfect for the TTS. So that's one thing I'll add. So all of the metalwork on top will be redone, so I might as well take the chance just to add the bigger motor. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Oh yes, one last thing. I'll go and show you that now. Here's the last piece of the puzzle. My central oiling system. So I've wanted one of these for ages, but I always thought the proper Bijou ones were really expensive, and they are. Jeez, the pump is like $200 or something like that. But just as a joke, I looked it up on AliExpress and actually found this exact replica setup for $40 US delivered. Can you believe that? How the hell do they make it that cheap? And lo and behold, it actually showed up in about 4 days from Hong Kong, DHL and everything. How freaking awesome is that? So it even comes with 4 manifolds, even anodized orange, complete with adjustable valves, push fits on everything. Comes with a stack of push fits, tubing, bloody lot of tubing in there, little flexible protectors, and look how good the pump is. It even comes with a little oil strainer and everything. It's surprisingly nice quality, actually. I don't know how they make it for that money, let alone make a profit, but yeah, when I pull the whole machine apart to add the enclosure, what I'm going to do is fix the lost motion on the Z-axis, tighten everything up, and machine in all the oiling slots and drill the fittings for this oiler, and then that should be pretty legit. I can't really think of too much more I'd like to add to the machine, so yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching. So we might just go to a clip of a small part I had to make for my workplace, some pictures after it. So once again, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed. Bye.